Hello, everyone. This is Zayami Eccles-Irwin from FilmFestivalCircuit.com and the Assistant Director of the Portland Comedy Film Festival. We are gearing up for our Spring 2023 season, which is going to screen on May 21st at the beautiful historic Clinton Street Theater in Portland, Oregon. Today, I'm talking with some of our participating filmmakers who have a film titled Interracial Couple in a Cheerios Ad. Hey, guys, how's it going? Thanks so much for meeting with me today. And who do we have here? Can you guys introduce yourselves and talk about your roles in this film?
Sure. Thank you for having us, first of all. And I'm Yuriy Mikhalevskiy, and this is David Roth. And we're both the co-creators and the co-writers of Interracial Couple and a Cheerios Ad.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for meeting with me. Let's jump right in. What inspired you guys to make this film?
You want to take it?
We're both creative directors in advertising, and we're both stand-up comedians. And I think we got into advertising in the first place because we grew up we were both born in the 80s, and like 90s advertising was really fun. It was
Totally.
really comedy based. And like over time, as we've been in the industry, the conversations went from like, what's the most fun, entertaining way to sell ourselves to like, okay, if we have like a black director and that means we could probably have like a white editor. And it just got to this like these weird games of racial Tetris where it
Totally.
was like the ethnicity of the team was like first and foremost, and we're just both like, what the hell is going on? And so I think after just a lot of these kind of awkward conversations and a lot of like backwards thinking, we were like, we need to just like make fun of what the hell that we're dealing with in this in this industry. So
Totally.
kind of inspired the idea for the video.
That leads me to kind of a question. So it's a micro short, but there's a lot packed into what you guys have created so far. Uh, and it does have that kind of snappy advertising quality and the pacing and the kind of the bright lights, the colors, the music. Uh, how much does your ad background translate into your film production process?
I think a lot. I think we're sort of the one thing that we love about advertising is it needs to grab attention. So it's like we that part we don't want to get rid of in advertising. We want to keep the snappiness. We want to keep the idea of something that's entertaining for the most amount of people possible. And we want everything to be like the density of jokes and the density of visual stimulation. And we like to keep all that stuff really high. So I think a lot of that kind of stuff translated from, I think we try to make it like the advertising we love the most.
Totally. I definitely get that 90s feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think like visual humor is one of the best parts of advertising. Like you don't get to see that a ton in other mediums as much. Like in a three camera sitcom, you're not really seeing a lot of like visual gags. I mean, you'll
Right.
see someone trip on something, but that's something that we like. And I think I've been to a few festivals where our film has played, and I'm just like, every time I'm watching something, I'm like, man, this really needs like some editing. And I think it's just
Mhm.
because both stand up and advertising is just so snappy that it's just like you feel when things are slow. So yeah, I would say it played like a pretty huge part in that.
Totally. Well, that's kind of interesting. And I know, with stand up, of course, you're always responding to your audience. And with advertising, I imagine there's a lot of market research and stuff like that. Have you guys made little nudges and adjustments to this film through your festival run?
I don't think we've not
Okay.
really.
Yeah.
Both, so we're in Brooklyn and there's like a
Yeah.
major traffic
Yeah.
extravaganza outside. I mean, I think once we did, like, we also are done financially, so it's not like
Yeah.
Right.
we have an editor on call when someone's like, oh, but we've gotten pretty positive response from people watching,
Absolutely.
so we're happy with how the film turned out. So I don't think we're going to be tweaking anything on this particular video. Not
Yeah.
like because we're divas or anything. It's just like
We're not divas as
it's
much as
done.
we're broke. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Good distinction.
Yeah.
Well, it is such a fun one. I think that it's fantastic. It's such an energy and attention grabber at the festivals. It's been in a few that I run, and so I've been seeing it a lot, and it's always such a high point of the night. Uh, And and so I have a question, which is, what's that on-set dynamic like? Because for something that is so bombastic and fun and choreographed, I imagine it's actually pretty tough to nail that. What was that like on set?
I actually think it was easier than both of us expected it to be.
Really?
I think it
Okay.
was logistically really hard to because we shot the whole thing in one day. We had 2 days of
Wow.
rehearsal, but there was like an insane amount of joy that was like coming out of the cast and crew. There was like it was like a dam breaking of like everyone wanted to be working on something where you didn't have like these rules that were so obnoxious and so exhausting. And they were just like, we can dance and be silly and be as ridiculous and cartoonish as we want to be. And that was like, I think that motivated the entire day. Like, there's an end shot where everyone is celebrating, and, like, we didn't stimulate any of that. It just kept going for, like, 5 minutes because there was just, like, there felt like an existential release of, like, "Let's just be ridiculous and let's have a really good time." So I think that, like, motivated the day, and I don't think anybody was, like, overwhelmed or exhausted at the end. Everybody was really
Totally.
charged.
I mean, there were certainly like logistical challenges because we had to. No one believes that it was shot in one day when I like tell
It's incredible.
or like
Yeah.
or fellow filmmakers or whatever. But yeah, it was definitely a very joyful process. Like we had 23 or 24 cast members, and like literally every time someone came out of the wardrobe room and arrived on set, it was like a round of applause and
Yeah.
laughter. Because like, when's the last time you just saw someone dressed as a Native American in like a
Right, totally.
like it's like a throwback. It's like
When's
people.
the last time you saw someone dressed as a gimp Dalmatian with a Jewish star?
It's yeah, like you.
Uh,
I think that was the kind of stuff that I think we both grew up with, and you're just not seeing that anymore.
yeah.
Even I actually just Pitch Perfect is like in the top 10 films on Netflix right now, and you just watch it and you still have that side brain that's just like Rebel Wilson's character just calls herself Fat Amy, and it's like, well, that literally could not happen. I can't
Yeah.
imagine that
Right.
happening today. Like you see all these archetypes,
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
you just even though Yuri and I are kind of like trying to move past that, it's just like that voice is like, wow, you couldn't do this today. Oh, you couldn't do that today. Oh, you couldn't do
Absolutely.
this today.
And the crazy thing is we all have that voice. So like we're all constantly like sort of self-censoring. And that's why it feels so good to just be like, this is a joke.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's just be in a situation where we all understand that this is a joke and this is satire. Like when we watch South Park or when we watch Family Guy, for some reason we all understand that this is a joke and it's like a different world of rules.
Totally.
That's why it was so liberating to work on, and it was so amazing to have everybody that was super excited and super happy to be doing it.
Well, yeah, and it reads as this very positive experience. It never feels polemical. It feels like, well, we're actually just celebrating something here. And
Yeah.
I'm curious, what did you guys learn from this process? Have you made kind of big multicast productions like this before?
Well, we've done it in advertising.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, we've worked on big multi-million dollar commercial production. So being on set with a lot on the line, big time cameras, like a cast, trying to appease a client while also trying to do the best you can for the agency you're working for. Like we've dealt with big budgets and stressful situations, but this was the first time where I mean Yuri and I literally were the funders of this. So
Right.
we were the ones. There was like a moment where the set almost like collapsed
Oh,
and
geez.
fell. There's
yeah,
also a moment before when we were on the way to the shoot where like suddenly a police car started snaking around, and I was like, is this like some sort of OJ Simpson? Like, are we part of the local news
Right.
where this if this road gets shut down, literally our life savings is gonna be
yeah.
kind of gone in this like traffic incident? Like it was interesting and to experience that something that you have so much on the line, so much of your own personal like
Right.
savings investment for this one moment. It's probably what an Olympian experience is, right? You spend 4 years
Right.
Yes,
a little bit.
for sure.
Well, actually, not really. With the finance that we put into it, yeah, it is that. It's like
Yeah.
you have so much on the line for like such a quick event. I was thinking you were right, but now that I think about what we spent, it really was like that kind of thing for the Olympics. It's like everything's on the line for this one moment, and you kind of
Right.
need this moment to like pull through for you.
I'm not comparing it to the Olympics. I'll leave that to David.
Well, I mean, so that's interesting. You guys come from the world of high pressure film production or commercial production, and
Yeah.
this is a kind of a new set of pressure for you guys. I'm curious in the case of this. I mean, you've seen a lot of action in this field. Is there anything specific that you learned as regards to personal projects? Any new insights that you gained on the filmmaking process?
I think because like everything was on us, we were like suddenly everything was like it's your job to make sure like we have all the shot list like making
Right.
sense, that you have to think of like you have to be in the costumes and be like that color of tie doesn't necessarily go with that shirt, or
Mm,
like give me a bigger Native American headdress. Like every single tiny detail, like we had to like normal stars of David that you like, they're not big enough to read on camera. And we're like, we have to find it was like a last minute thing we have to find. I think they grabbed it from like the wall of some like school or something. I don't know. It was just like every single tiny detail you have to be aware of. And I don't think we've ever usually have a huge team of people that are really well paid and
right.
pretty good at their jobs because they consistently deliver this. So all of that being on your shoulders is like as as liberating as it is like threatening, because it's your fuck up if it doesn't work or if it
Right.
doesn't read on camera.
But also like when you're doing an advertising production, we are never the ultimate final say. There's either a creative boss that's like the executive creative director or the highest person in an agency level.
Hmm.
Beyond that, there's the person who's paying for it, and the person who's paying for it ultimately gets to make that top level creative decision of can we move on. So for us to see a scene play out and then the director turned to us and we're like, we're good, and then Yuri and I are like, I'm good, are you good? We're good. Then once that's done, it's
Yeah.
like it's amazing how in the moment it was incredible, but like that's hitting that level is something that like even I've been in advertising for 17 years, and it's like I still have never been like the final decision maker on
Right.
a, a large scale production. So we were both just kind of basking in that. Like I know Yuri was definitely riding like a massive high on the shoot date of just like looking around and being like, we decide if we're ready for the next shot. And that was a pretty cool experience.
That's fantastic. So you have to wear many hats as it goes in the independent world. You have to check off on everything, but you do get that high of being the ultimate say. That
Yeah.
sounds great.
Yeah.
Um, well, so I know you guys have more inclusive musical stuff that you're working on or trying to work on. Tell me, what's next for you guys?
So we actually have a couple of songs that we're kind of throwing out and pitching out. We have one song that's already like written, and we have a demo to it called "Pride Month's a Comin'," and that's about how advertising agencies get super excited for Pride Month campaigns,
Right.
and how much they pat themselves on the back for updating their LinkedIn logos,
With
which is a lot.
a rainbow whopper or whatever it might
Yeah.
be.
Right.
We also have a song called "Nobody Cares About Ageism," which is on and if we're being spicy, you're absolutely right, but you're white, which is
I love
we
that. I love
get
that
it.
so much.
So we right now I would say you're catching us in a moment of about as optimistic as we could be because we think we have found a partner that is willing to fund our next song. So we recently had a conversation with them because they're a brand they didn't want other brands mentioned. So our Pride Month song included a lot of jokes about like, what if every bottle of Coke was rainbow and woke? What if Mike and Ike's were a couple of dykes? So like we couldn't really use that in a completely, like, they rejected us in one of the most understandable ways I've ever heard. I'm like, yes, please, yes, reject this because we are a legal liability. But Yuriy and I have been thinking about this musical in a bigger way for a while. We have a ton of songs, and so we need to come back to them with songs without other brand mentions. We still have plenty of stuff that we're very excited about. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be kind of polishing, and doing a significant amount of writing on some new stuff. But we are really hopeful, and as much confidence as you can have, that we are going to have a new piece coming out this year, which
excellent.
Way kind of, if you were to ask us maybe a month ago, there wouldn't have been that kind of optimism, but we had a really great call, and we feel like we can make this happen, and we're feeling about as good as we've felt in a long time. So we're both excited about that.
That's incredible. It seems like the momentum is going. This thing's going to pick up. I can't wait to see another episode of this. Is there anything else you guys would like to say about interracial couple in a Cheerios ad or inclusive musical in total?
I guess we were both. A lot of people, like when we were working on it, we work in advertising, and a lot of people in advertising didn't want to touch it because it was kind of like biting the hands that feed them. And so we kind of went in being like, this is offensive, but we're willing to take. We know that we're willing to take a hit. We're willing to swallow that pill. This is going to be rough. We're going to get a lot of negative backlash. And like somehow when this thing came out, be it the incredible composer and musical director, Nick Gage, that made it, be it Christine Lakin, who's a child actor turned choreographer turned director, who has like a really beautiful, positive spirit to her somehow. And it definitely didn't come from me and Yuriy. It might have somewhat came from me and Yuriy, but somehow this thing has like been way more positive and less, I guess, controversial than we expected. And it's been like just good vibes. Like we were kind of expecting like some heat from one end or the other of the spectrum, and it's been like,
I would say David was expecting more of it than I was.
Fair enough.
I was like, no, we're gonna make it funny and good, and if it's good enough, then people will get over it and enjoy themselves. As long as you're really funny, like I think that's how you create a runway for yourself. Just do a good job.
Yeah, that said, directors didn't want to touch it. Like we had to work very hard to find a director willing to touch this.
Totally.
Advertising directors didn't want to touch it because I'm not going to work on a
project. They would get really excited about it first. We went like 5 rounds like this. They would at first be like, oh, I love it. It's so funny. It's so clever. And then they would go and talk to someone, whether it's their producer or like or their husband or wife. And it was like, no, you don't want to do this. Like
that happened
so many times,
like 4 to 5 times.
Dang.
And without embellishment, just like, oh my God, yes. And like, and like, we have it. And then, and then the same thing kept happening. So by the time it was like number 3, we're like, why don't you just take a moment, take a beat? We're not going to, like, the next morning, wake up, see how it feels. So we're sort of surprised. Even like Yuriy's sister was like no matter the politics, it was just like, this was really positive and sweet and
absolutely
felt good. And I guess neither of us ever, I mean, okay, well, I'll speak for me. I just didn't expect that kind of positivity from this. I expected a like one side to be into it. I actually thought conservatives would be more into it and laugh at it, and more liberal leaning people would kind of be a little on their heels. And that's totally not what happened at all. Like liberal people seem to really embrace and laugh at themselves. Conservative people, I think it's a little bit more in the pocket because we're sort of satirizing wokeness. So we ended up getting a lot of like love from both sides.
Basically, we're bringing 2 sides together finally.
You're meeting them. That's perfect.
It's also being delivered at the Portland Film Festival. But
no,
but it was it's cool that people seem to enjoy it, and then politics doesn't need to be a big part of it. That I don't. Also, another thing about it too is like I think minorities seem to enjoy it more than white people. Like they have more.
Totally.
White people are scared to like it versus like black people just don't. They know that they're being tokenized.
Definitely, the only like negative stuff we ever get is from like pretty well-to-do white people.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's good natured. It's not reductive. It's totally aware, and I love it. I think it's great. And every place it's played so far in our festivals, it's killed. So I'm very excited to screen this May 21st, Clinton Street Theater, Portland Comedy Film Festival. Thank you guys so much for talking with me today.
Thank you, and
Yeah,
we're
thanks a
excited to
lot.
see you there.
Yeah, see you guys there. It's been a
We'll be at
pleasure.
the Oregon Short Film Festival. That's
Yeah.
a week later, right?
Yeah. Or that's the one that you guys are at.
I think that's the one that.
Okay, May 29th in that case, same place. Maybe I'll just play it twice for fun. Who knows? Anyway,
Cool.
thank you guys, and I'll see you there.
All right,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Bye.
How's it going?